Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I'm here to bring you a battle between the 2020 Challenger decks and the Battle of the Horde Challenge deck from Born of the Gods. We'll be playing two games, first on normal difficulty with 3 turns and then on hard mode, and we'll be using 3 hero cards for these battles. We have the Harvester, which says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. The Vanquisher, which says your starting hand size is increased by 1, your maximum hand size is increased by 1. And the Explorer, which says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. Because I only have 1 of each of these hero cards, we will be applying them to all decks simultaneously. We'll go ahead and draw our opening hands. Cavalcade Charge draws a mountain, light up the stage, mountain, Tin Street Dodger, Scorch Spitter, mountain, and mountain. I don't love all the mountains that we have, but we can loot them away to get something better, and we can light up the stage to draw more, so we'll keep this hand. Flash of Ferocity draws a Nightpack Ambusher, Temporal of Mystery, Brineborn Cutthroat, Spectral Sailor, Opt, Forest, Brineborn Cutthroat, and Fastest Intervention. This is not a great starting hand, but I think we're going to keep it on the strength of possibly Opting and the Brineborn Cutthroats. Final Adventure draws an Order of Midnight, Jungle Hollow, Find Finality, Smitten Swordmaster, Knight of the Ebon Legion, Forest, Lucky Clover, and Black Lance Paragon. This is a little short on lands, but I think we can loot out and get started with this. Allied Fires draws an Interplanar Beacon, Kenrith the Returned King, Interplanar Beacon, Island, Drawn from Dreams, Deafening Clarion, and Kasmina Enigmatic Mentor. We are lacking a lot of our colors here with only 2 islands, and the Interplanar Beacons don't really help because we only have 1 Planeswalker to cast. And so we are going to mulligan this and draw back up to 8 because this is multiplayer. Now we draw a Fires of Invention, Temple of Epiphany, Narset Parter of Veils, Fae of Wishes, Plains, Island, Swiftwater Cliffs, and Interplanar Beacon. It's a little short on action, but I think we still keep it because we can actually cast some of this stuff, and hopefully the Narset can draw us into better cards. Because this is multiplayer, we'll all be drawing on our first turn. Charge draws a Cavalcade of Calamity. Flash draws an Opt. Adventure draws a Forest. Fires draws an Omen of the Sea. Charge will play 2 mountains. We'll tap them both to cast a Scorch Spitter. This is a 1/1 Elemental Lizard. When it attacks, it deals 1 damage to the player or the Planeswalker it's attacking. And the Tin Street Dodger, it is a 1/1 Goblin Rogue with haste, and for red, it can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with Defender. Flash will play a Temple of Mystery. This is a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, scry 1. You can tap it for green or blue. We'll scry. We will take the Spectral Sailor and stick it on the bottom because we need lands pretty badly. We will also play a Forest. Final Adventure will play a Jungle Hollow. It's a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. You can tap it for black or green. We'll also play a Forest. We'll gain a life to go up to 21. Fires will play a Temple of Epiphany. This is a land, enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, scry 1. You can tap it for blue or red. We'll scry. We take the Time Wipe and we'll stick that on the bottom. We'll also play the Swiftwater Cliffs. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. You can tap it for blue or red. Go ahead and gain a life to take us up to 22. We'll go to combat and we'll attack with the Tin Street Dodger. It'll do 1 damage to the Horde. They'll mill 1 card. And then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Charge draws an Embercleave and we'll discard a mountain. Flash draws a Wildborn Preserver and we will discard Thassa's Intervention. Adventure draws a Disfigure and we will discard the Disfigure. Fires draws a Fires of Invention. We'll discard the second Fires of Invention. We'll untap. Charge draws a Mountain. Flash draws a Quench. Adventure draws a Midnight Reaper. Fires draws Kasmina Enigmatic Mentor. Charge will play 2 mountains. We'll tap 2 of them to cast Cavalcade of Calamity. This is an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control with 1 power or less attacks, it deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker that creature is attacking. Flash is pretty desperate for mana here, so they're going to tap during their main phase for blue and then cast Opt. It's an instant. Scry 1, draw a card. Take a look at this. This is not a land. We'll put it at the bottom. We'll draw. You get a forest, we'll play the forest. Adventure will play their forest. They don't have a lot of good value yet, so we're going to tap all three and play the Midnight Reaper. This is a 3/2 zombie knight. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Midnight Reaper deals 1 damage to you and you draw a card. Allied Fires will play the Plains and the Island. We will tap everything and we will cast the Fires of Invention. This is an enchantment. You can cast spells only on your turn and you can cast no more than 2 spells each turn. You may cast spells with converted mana costs less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana costs. So we've cast 1 spell this turn. We'll cast the second spell this turn, which is Kasmina Enigmatic Mentor. It's a 5 loyalty legendary Kasmina Planeswalker, and spells your opponents cast that target a creature or a Planeswalker you control cost 2 more to cast. For -2, you can create a 2/2 blue wizard creature token to draw a card, then discard a card. We'll immediately -2 Kasmina to create a blue wizard creature token. We'll draw. We get a Sarkhan the Masterless, and we will discard the Fae of Wishes. We'll go to combat, and the Tin Street Dodger and the Scorch Spitter will both attack. The Scorch Spitter will trigger, dealing 1 damage to the Horde. The Cavalcade will trigger, dealing 2 damage to the Horde for a total of 5 damage. Flash of Ferocity will cast the Wildborn Preserver. This is a 2/2 elf archer with flash and reach. Whenever another non-human creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X. When you do, put X +1/+1 counters on Wildborn Preserver. Cavalcade Charge will then tap 1 red and will cast Light of the Stage. It's a sorcery with Spectacle Red. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your turn, you may play those cards. We have exiled a Mountain and a Rimrock Knight. And then we'll use the Harvester. Charge draws a Chandra Acolyte of Flame, and we will discard the Mountain. Flash draws a Wildborn Preserver, and we will discard a Spectral Sailor. Adventure draws a Midnight Reaper, and we are going to discard the Find Finality. Fires draws an Omen of the Sea, and we'll discard the Omen of the Sea. We'll untap. Charge draws a Cavalcade of Calamity. Flash draws an Island. Adventure draws a Knight of the Ebon Legion. Fires draws a Narset, Parter Veils. Charge will play the Mountain from Exile. Charge will spend 2 mana to cast another Cavalcade of Calamity. And then we'll spend 3 more mana to cast Chandra Acolyte of Flame. This is a 4 loyalty legendary Chandra. And for 0, you can put a loyalty counter on each red planeswalker you control. For 0, you can create 2 1/1 red elemental creature tokens. They gain haste, sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step, and for -2, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost 3 or less from a graveyard. If that card would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. We'll put our counters on Chandra, and we will immediately 0 her to create 2 elementals with haste. Ferocity will play an Island. Adventure will tap 2 and play the Lucky Clover. This is an artifact. Whenever you cast an adventure instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. We'll tap 1 more mana to cast Knight of the Ebon Legion. This is a 1/2 Vampire Knight, and for 2 and black, it gains +3/+3 and Death Touch to end of turn. At the beginning of your end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Knight of the Ebon Legion. Fires will play an Interplanar Beacon, and then we will cast Sarkhan the Masterless. This is a legendary Sarkhan, and whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, each dragon you control deals 1 damage to that player. For +1 until end of turn, each planeswalker you control becomes a 4/4 red dragon creature and gains flying, and for -3, create a 4/4 red dragon token with flying. Go ahead and -3 Sarkhan right now to get a dragon. Also -2 on Kasmina to get another wizard. We'll draw and discard. We drew an Island, and we'll discard the Island. For our second spell, we'll cast Omen of the Sea. This is an enchantment with flash. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2, then draw a card. For 2 and a blue, sacrifice Omen of the Sea to scry 2. We'll scry these 2, and we will draw the Saheeli. We'll put Bashing Light back on top, actually, it could be useful. Then we'll go to combat. We'll attack with the wizard. We'll attack with everything that Cavalcade Charge has. We'll attack with a Wildborn Preserver, and we'll attack with a Midnight Reaper. That is 16 damage. We milled a Plundered Statue. It says, when Plundered Statue is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player draws a card. Cavalcade Charge will draw a Torbrand Thane of Redfell. The Rimrock Knight will get exiled. Flash draws a Quench. Adventure draws a Foulmire Knight. Fires draws a Vanishing Light. Then we'll go to the Horde's turn. The Horde will cast the top 5 cards of their library. They cast a Minotaur Younghorn. It's a 2/2 Minotaur with haste and attacks each turn if able. A Minotaur Goreseeker, a 3/2 Minotaur with haste and attacks each turn if able. A Phobos Reaver, a 2/3 Minotaur with haste and attacks each turn if able. A Minotaur Younghorn, and a Minotaur Goreseeker. These will all attack. Flash of Ferocity will tap out, and we will cast a Nightpack Ambusher. It is a 4/4 wolf with flash, and other wolves and werewolves you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your end step, if you didn't cast a spell this turn, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. This will block one of the Goreseekers. The dragon will block one of the Goreseekers, and we will trade the wizard for one of the Younghorns. So these all die. We will take 4 damage from the remaining Minotaurs to go down to 18. And then at the end of the Minotaur's turn, we'll use the Harvester. Charge draws a Rimrock Knight, and we'll discard the Rimrock Knight. The Elemental should have also been sacrificed at the end of the turn. Flash draws a Wavebreak Hippocamp, and we will discard the other Wildborn Preserver. Adventure draws an Edgewall Innkeeper, and we will discard the Smitten Swordmaster. Adventures draws a Sarkhan the Masterless, and we will discard the Sarkhan the Masterless. We'll untap. Charge draws a Cavalcade of Calamity. Flash draws a Spectral Sailor. Adventure draws an Order of Midnight. Fires draws a Saheeli Sublime Artificer. Cavalcade will tap 4. And we'll cast Torbrand Thane of Redfell. This is a 2/4 legendary dwarf noble, and if a red source you control will deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +2 instead. We'll also zero Chandra to create 2 elementals. Final Adventure will tap 1 to cast an Edgewall Innkeeper. This is a 1/1 human peasant. Whenever you cast a creature spell that has an adventure, draw a card. Then we'll tap 2 to cast Order of Midnight. This is a 2/2 human knight with flying, and it can't block. It also has an adventure, so we'll draw a card. Still don't draw a land. We drew a Smitten Swordmaster instead. Fires will cast Saheeli Sublime Artificer. This is a legendary Saheeli, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 color servo artifact creature token. For -2, target artifact you control becomes a copy of another target artifact or creature you control until end of turn, except that it's an artifact in addition to its other types. Then we'll cast Narset, Parter of Veils. This will trigger Saheeli, and we will get a servo. Narset is a legendary Narset. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. And -2, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Go ahead and immediately -2 Narset. And we will take the Deafening Clarion and put it into our hand. We will +1 Sarkhan to turn Sarkhan, Kazmina, Saheeli, and Narset into dragons. And we will go to combat. Sarkhan, the wizard, Kazmina, and the dragon will attack this turn. All 4 1/1s will attack this turn. The Preserver and the Ambusher will attack this turn. The Reaper and the Ebon Legion Knight will attack this turn. That is 60 damage coming at the Horde. That'll mill their entire deck. I believe that is an insta-win. We hit a Plundered Statue, causing everybody to draw a card. Cavalcade draws a Scorchbitter. Flash draws a Forest. Final Adventure draws an Order of Midnight. Fires draws a Kazmina. We mill a Vitality Salve. It says, when it's put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player returns a creature card from his or her graveyard to the battlefield. Cavalcade will put a Rimrock Knight onto the battlefield. Flash will put a Wildborn Preserver onto the battlefield. This will trigger the Wildborn Preserver's ability, but we won't use it. Final Adventure will put a Smitten Swordmaster onto the battlefield. This is a 2/1 human knight with lifelink, and it has the Curry Favor Adventure ability. Rimrock Knight is a 3/1 dwarf knight, and it can't block. Allied fighters will put a Fave of Wishes onto the battlefield. This is a 1/4 fairy wizard with flying, and for 1 and a blue, discard 2 cards and return it to its owner's hand. It has a granted adventure ability. Massacre Totem is milled. It says when it's put into a graveyard from anywhere, put the top 7 cards of the Horde's library into its graveyard. We're going to be milling the entire deck, so it doesn't matter. Refreshing Elixir is milled. It says when it's put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player gains 5 life. There are 4 players, so we'll be getting 20 life to go up to 38. Altar of Mogus is milled. It says when it is put into a graveyard from anywhere, the Horde sacrifices 2 minotaurs. These 2 are sacrificed. Another Refreshing Elixir means that we are going up to 58. And then the entire deck is milled, and the Challenger decks defeat the Horde on normal difficulty. We'll be right back for hard mode. It's time for hard mode. We are going to only have 2 turns before the Horde starts throwing their creatures in. So we will go ahead and get started by drawing our opening hands. Cavalcade Charge draws a mountain, Bone Crusher Giant, mountain, Chandra Acolyte of Flame, mountain, Bone Crusher Giant, and mountain. We don't have any 1-drops, and I think that's worth actually mulliganing this for because we can't wait till turn 3. Now we draw a Rimrock Knight, Bone Crusher Giant, mountain, Chandra Acolyte of Flame, Cavalcade of Calamity, Light Up the Stage, and Fervent Champion. This is also not a great hand because we have exactly 1 mountain, and that's not going to do it for us. So we're going to have to mulligan this as well, going down to 7. Now we draw a Fervent Champion, a mountain, Torban Thane of Redfell, mountain, Light Up the Stage, and mountain. I think this is a keepable hand. We will take Light Up the Stage and stick this on the bottom. Flash draws Thassa's Intervention, Thornwood Falls, Thassa's Intervention, Wavebreak, Hippocamp, Forest, Unsummon, and Brineborn Cutthroat. 3 lands is not ideal, but I think we still keep this one. Flash draws a Blacklands Paragon, Order of Midnight, Forest, Jungle Hollow Forest, Jungle Hollow Vraska, Golgari Queen, and Smitten Swordmaster. This is a less than ideal hand, but I think we're going to still keep it because we have things that we can do. Allied Fighters draw Sark in the Master List, Windscarred Crag, Tranquil Cove, Deafening Clarion, Plains, Omen of the Sea, Windscarred Crag, and Vanishing Light. It's not great, but it will work for our needs. Cavalcade Charge will play 2 mountains. We'll tap them both to cast 2 Fervent Champions. These are 1/1 human knights with first strike and haste, and whenever it attacks, another target attacking knight you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Equip abilities you activate that target Fervent Champion costs 3 less to activate. Flash will play a Thornwood Falls. This is a land that enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. You can tap for green or blue. We'll gain a life. Taking us to 21, we'll also play a Forest. Final Adventure will play 2 Jungle Hollows. They'll enter the battlefield tapped. We'll gain 2 life, taking us up to 23. Fighters will play a Tranquil Cove. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you gain a life. You can tap for white or blue. We'll also play Windscarred Crag. Enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you gain a life. You can tap it for red or white. We'll gain 2 more life to take us up to 25. We'll go to combat. The 2 Fervent Champions will attack. They'll each buff each other so that they are 2/1s, and that will deal 4 damage to the Horde. And then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Cavalcade Charge will draw a Torbrand, and we'll discard the extra Torbrand. Flash will draw an Opt, and we'll discard the Thassa's Intervention. Adventure will draw a Smitten Swordmaster, and we will discard a Blacklands Paragon. Fires will draw an Interplanar Beacon, and we will discard the Deafening Clarion. We'll untap. Cavalcade draws a mountain. Flash draws a Temple of Mystery. Adventure draws a swamp. Fires draws a Time Life. Charge will play 2 mountains, and then we'll tap them all to cast Torbrand Thane of Redfell. We've seen this do work in the last one. Flash will play a Temple of Mystery. It'll enter the battlefield tapped. It will scry 1. We will put Quench on the bottom. We need more blue mana. We'll also play a Forest, and then we'll tap everything to cast Wavebreak Hippocamp. It's a 2/2 enchantment creature, Horse Fish. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. Adventure will play a Forest and a Swamp. We'll tap out, and we will cast 2 Smitten Swordmasters. These are 2/1 human knights with lifelink. Fires will play another Windscarred Crag, and that will give us another life to go up to 26. We'll also play a Plains. This is our last turn before the Horde comes howling in. We'll go on the attack. The champions will attack, and that will do a total of 8 damage. Then we'll go to the Horde's turn. The Horde will cast the top 5 cards. We have a Phobos Reaver, a Minotaur Goreseeker, a Plundered Statue. This is an artifact at the beginning of the Horde's pre-combat main phase. Reveal an additional card from the top of the Horde's library. The Horde casts that card. That'll start taking effect next turn. A Minotaur Younghorn and a Minotaur Younghorn. All of these attack. We'll trade a Smitten Swordmaster for one of the Goreseekers, and we will take the remaining 6 damage but plus 2 life, and that will take us down 4 damage. The Goreseeker will die. One of the Swordmasters will die. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Cavalcade Charge will draw a Bone Crusher Giant, and we will discard a Mountain. Flash will draw a Nightpack Ambusher and discard the other Thassa's Intervention. Adventure will draw a Lovestruck Beast, and we will discard the Forest. Fires will draw a Kazmina, and we will discard the Time Wipe. We'll also spend 2 mana to cast Omen of the Sea. We will go ahead and scry 2, and we will keep the Narset. I'll put Kazmina on the bottom. We'll draw the Narset. We'll untap. Charge draws a Chandra, Acolyte of Flame. Flash draws a Frilled Mystic. Adventure draws a Forest. Fires draws a Fae of Wishes. Charge will spend 3 mana to cast the Acolyte of Flame. Go ahead and 0 to create 2 elementals. Adventure will play the Forest, and we will tap 4 mana to cast Vraska Golgari Queen. This is a legendary Vraska with 4 loyalty, and for +2 you may sacrifice another permanent. If you do, gain 1 life and draw a card. For -3, destroy target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less. And for -9 you get an emblem with whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. Go ahead and -3 immediately to blow up the Plundered Statue. The Plundered Statue goes down, and we'll all draw a card. Charge draws a Mountain. Flash draws a Forest. Adventure draws an Order of Midnight. Fires draws a Temple of Epiphany. Then we'll spend 1 green mana to cast the Adventure portion of Lovestruck Beast, which is Heart's Desire. It's sorcery, and you can create a 1/1 human creature token. Here's our token. Fires will play a Temple of Epiphany. It enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, you scry 1. We'll take the Swiftwater Cliffs and stick it on the bottom. We'll tap it to add blue or red. We'll also play an Interplanar Beacon here, and then we will spend 5 mana to cast Sarkhan the Masterless. We'll go ahead and immediately -3 Sarkhan to create a dragon. Then we'll go to combat. Cavalcade Charge will send everything in. Wavebreak Hippocamp will also attack. Smitten Swordmaster will join the fight. That is a total of 16 damage and 2 life gain, taking us back up to 24. We hit a Refreshing Elixir, so we'll gain 20 life to go up to 44. Then we'll pass the Horde, which will untap. They'll cast the top 5 cards. We have a Minotaur Goreseeker, a Vitality Salve. At the beginning of the Horde's pre-combat main phase, reveal an additional card from the top of the Horde's library. The Horde casts that card. A Minotaur Younghorn. A Consuming Rage. Whenever a Minotaur attacks this turn, it gets +2/+0 until end of combat. Destroy that creature at the end of combat. And a Minotaur Goreseeker. We're being attacked by this team. They are all +2/+0 for 26 damage, but since they're all going to die next turn, I'm okay with taking 26 damage since we have so much life. That'll take us down to 18. Then all of these will die, and we'll use the Harvester. Charge draws a Mountain, we discard a Mountain. We should have played this Forest during the turn. Flash draws a Forest, and we will discard the Forest. We'll also spend 4 mana, and we'll cast a Nightpack Ambusher. We'll also spend 1 more mana to opt. We scry, and we'll draw that island, and we'll draw a card off the Wavebreak Hippocamp for casting the Nightpack Ambusher as well. It's an opt. Adventure draws a Swamp, and we will discard the Swamp. Fires draws an Omen of the Sea, and we'll discard Fae of Wishes. We'll untap. These two should have been sacrificed. Charge draws a Rimrock Knight. Flash draws a Brazen Borrower. Adventure draws a Foulmire Knight. Fires draws a Windscarred Crag. Charge will play the Mountain. We will zero Chandra to create 2 more elementals. We'll tap 3 to cast the Lovestruck Beast. This is a 5/5 Beast Noble and it can't attack unless you control a 1/1 creature. We'll also spend 2 mana to use Order of Midnight's adventure ability, which is Alter Fate. Return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. We'll go ahead and grab the Smitten Swordmaster and put that back in our hand. Fires will play a Windscarred Crag. That'll get us a life to take us back up to 19. We will spend 4 mana using the Interplanar Beacon's tap to add 2 mana of a different color's ability to switch out the mana so that we can play the Kasmina Enigmatic Mentor. We'll immediately minus Kasmina, taking her to 3 to create a wizard. We'll draw a Fire's Invention and we will discard the Vanishing Light. We'll plus Sarkhan, making Kasmina and Sarkhan 4/4 dragons. Go to combat, we'll attack with both the Fervent Champions, the 2 elementals, Torbrand, and we'll tap a mountain to use Rimrock Knight's Boulder Rush adventure ability. It's an instant, target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So we'll go ahead and give that to Torbrand. Over here we'll play the island, and then we'll attack with the Nightpack Ambusher and the Wavebreak Hippocamp. We'll attack with the human and the Smitten Swordmaster, and before our attacks we will have plussed Vraska, but not using our ability. And here we'll attack with Sarkhan and the dragon. That is 37 damage coming in. We have an Altar of Mogus. The Horde will sacrifice 2 minotaurs. We have a Plundered Statue. Each player will draw a card. Cavalcade draws a mountain. Flash draws a Spectral Sailor. Adventure draws a Lucky Clover. Fires draws a Temple of Enlightenment. 30 more to go. This Massacre Totem will mill 7 more. There's a Refreshing Elixir. We'll gain 20 life to go up to 39. But that doesn't matter because we have completely milled out the Horde, and the Challenger decks roundly defeat the Battle of the Horde Challenge deck from Born of the Gods. Let me know if I made any major play and or rules errors in this video so I can learn from your wisdom. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This is Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.